Hello there and welcome back to That Park Place. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Vash Sky. I am here to take you through what is the Snow White catfight. I know, it is very surprising to be sure. I thought we weren't going to be talking about Snow White for the foreseeable future, but now that the film is officially on streaming and apparently the actors and the directors and everybody else attached to it has basically signed off on it, well now the truth comes out. Here you go from That Park Place. Rachel Zegler unfollowed Gal Gadot on Instagram as rumors of tensions deepened between Snow White co-stars. Oh boy. November 17, 2025 by Marvin Montanaro. It appears that the tensions between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot has entered a new chapter, and this time it's playing out where celebrities send their loudest quiet messages. Instagram. As of today, a manual review shows that Rachel Zegler has unfollowed Gal Gadot on Instagram, a move that comes after months of strained public optics between Snow White co-stars. Now look, you might be thinking about this video and thinking, wait a minute, hang on, Instagram follows? Come on, this is dramatic tension between actors? What's the bigger story here? The bigger story here is what Disney's response to something like this might actually be, and we might actually know how they have responded with their latest feature film coming out in 2026. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and finish off this segment of the story. Now, this development drops right into a long-running feud fueled by their very different political positions, particularly surrounding the conflict in the Middle East. And yes, that infamous social media moment from Zegler is directly relevant here. Now, back in 2024, Zegler signed off one of her posts promoting the Snow White trailer with the line, "And always remember, free Palestine." That statement placed her and the Disney film she and Gadot were starring in firmly within a heated online discourse. It effectively drew a line between her message and the stance of Gadot, who is both Israeli and openly supportive of Israel. Gadot has spoken about her homeland and her family's safety many times over the years, particularly during periods of rising tension. Because of contrast between their positions, observers have kept an eye on the pair's dynamic ever since, and there's more history than many remember. Disney reportedly increased security for Gadot after threats. Yeah, I remember that whole thing where apparently she was getting so many threats against her that I believe she had to hire her own security, and I believe it was at Disney's expense, which was really, really crazy. And the tension between the two actresses was certainly felt off screen and maybe even perhaps on when you look at some of those scenes, look at some of those reshoots and so forth. They didn't spend that much time together on screen, that is for sure. And what's ironic about that is that I believe the story that they went with for the 2025 version of Snow White, it basically had the character of Snow White and the Evil Queen acting together in more scenes that were depicted in the 1937 original animated work, which was a very interesting decision, especially when it came to just how badly these two performed together via their chemistry and so forth. The two actresses may have played together on screen and at award shows, but off camera, the relationship was already being described as fractured. People magazine reported around the time of the film's release through a production adjacent source that, quote, "they are not friends and they have nothing in common." That is for sure. The Instagram unfollow small button, but big signal. Now we arrive at the newest breadcrumb, one that fans didn't miss. A direct check today confirms that Zegler no longer follows Gadot's Instagram account. Social media behavior may not always be definitive proof of conflict, but let's be honest, in modern celebrity communication, the unfollow button is the closest thing Hollywood has to an official, quote, "we're done here." I would say so, and that's really one of the things that really tanked this film, amongst so many other things, was honestly the miscasting of both Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, to be quite honest. Now, look, Gadot's not the best actress in the world.
What did you say?
Hello, no.
That being said, though, the threats against her life, completely uncalled for, and I think we can all agree on that. Now, Gadot herself has a different take on this. Speaking to the Wrap in August of this year, Gadot claims that, quote, Snow White flopped because of, quote, the pressure on celebrities to bring up things against Israel rather than her terrible acting. And rather than her terrible acting, by the way, that's discourse provided by Discussing Film, which I think is very interesting. Quote, "You can always explain and try to give people in the world a context about what's happening in Israel and what the reality is here. But in the end, people decide for themselves." I think people did decide that Gadot wasn't the best actress in the world and maybe ill-fitting for the part chosen. They definitely try to play her up in multiple ways, in ways that just didn't befit her talent level. I'm sorry, I hate to say this stuff, but it's just when that musical dance number during that movie was so awful. It was terrible. I can't believe how bad that was. And I was just speaking to somebody about this very recently, and they were like, yeah, the only thing I remember from that film was that dance number, and I had to agree. I mean, my jaw was on the floor. So not the best use of Gadot's talents. And honestly, I think the jury has rendered a verdict when it comes to her acting ability. I don't believe she's been cast in any very big time roles. The days of Wonder Woman and how she capitalized on that success appear to be over, which is a shame. Rachel Zegler, we know what happened to her. I don't think she's gotten any big roles either past Snow White. You know, one could argue maybe she's taking a break from acting and so forth, but I just don't see anything big on the horizon. And unfortunately, this all culminated in a movie that really hurt Disney, definitely hurt the Snow White brand for sure. Disney expenses exploded. New SEC filing revealing films aren't turning a profit. That's absolutely correct. There's just no way of getting around it. Snow White was a big, big flop. And apparently Disney is responding by doubling down on their entertainment spend. They're going to be spending $1 billion more on content in 2026 than they did in 2025. So where do we go from here? How has Disney responded to all of this? Well, I think they have in the reveal for their latest live action adaptation, that being Moana. This coming out July 10th, 2026. Everybody's been talking about it. Everybody has a lot to say about this. But one of the things that isn't being discussed really is the casting of Catherine over Carvalho. You'll remember that Carvalho was the original Moana, who played the voice of Moana for the original, I believe, 2016 film now, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't attack me in the comments if I'm wrong. But going with Catherine, and it's Catherine Lagaya, I believe. I think the word from Disney is we have to get people that are just a little bit not only on model, but less trendy. Let's stop chasing trends. Let's really cast for those roles. And look, whether they're a big actress or not, if they're appropriate for the roles, great. If they're not, let's go ahead and move on. And I think the issues surrounding Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler really do stem from this idea that they chase trends. Remember, Rachel Zegler was a sort of a rising star there, obviously unknown in the large entertainment landscape for sure, but definitely a bigger name on Broadway and so forth. Gal Gadot, definitely a trending actress with her work in Wonder Woman. And so it's like, okay, let's go ahead and bring these two together. What could possibly go wrong? And well, a lot went wrong. And unfortunately, both Disney and fans really had to pay for it. But when you look at Carvalho, you might think, oh yeah, she's great, she's lovely. Maybe they cast her. But again, recent appearances suggest that maybe acting plays second fiddle to her other interests. So let's go ahead and get Catherine here. From what it looks like to me, it does seem that she can sing, that she is a personality that can captivate an audience right here. We'll have to see how that actually translates when the film actually comes out right here. But I think Disney has responded to some of this. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and get personalities that are not only a little bit more on model. If they are unknown, it is okay. But as long as they are less vitriolic online, then maybe we can have some stunning success when it comes to our adaptations, especially our live action adaptations of our classic animated works. And so I think that's the direction that they're going in. But hey, I want to go ahead and hear from you. Do you think I'm completely off on this? Do you think Gal is a great actress?
Hell no.
Do you think there is a redemption arc for Rachel Zegler in the future? I'm not quite sure if I would necessarily agree with that assessment, but hey, if you want to go ahead and argue it in the comments, please go ahead. Leave us your feedback on this video for sure. If you haven't liked this video yet, please go ahead and like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? We have all kinds of great content coming to you out there for viewers of That Park Plays.
So exciting.
If you have any hype points, go ahead and use those. That would be tremendously helpful. And make sure you follow That Park Plays for all the news. That should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.